It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of August 8th, 1997. We got 6 movies to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts starring in Richard Donner's latest movie, Conspiracy Theory. Well, I think you can kind of see one of the first problems with the movie coming out right of the gate. That trailer really does not know what the hell this movie is supposed to be. It starts selling it as like this bizarre romantic comedy at the start, but then it's all of a sudden a political action thriller, which I thought that was the purpose of the whole movie to begin with, but yeah, that's the first sign that this movie probably wasn't going to end up being well. Two, Mel Gibson's character really does not have a sensible idea of where he gets these conspiracy theories. It's like he's making them up out of his own ass, when you know that most conspiracy theorists out there, they usually put these theories together from something that they heard from somebody else, and maybe occasionally they'll think of it themselves, but at the same time, I really don't think this movie has a clear idea of what a conspiracy theorist actually does. I mean, and other than that, though, this movie is just all over the place. Like, it really does not have a single idea of what it wants to be. Like, what does it want to be in the end? Does it want to be something on the lines of something like Lethal Weapon, which is kind of an action comedic thriller, or does it want to be something a little bit more serious, like what it's trying to be sold as on the page right here I'm looking at from Wikipedia, a political action thriller? Does it want to be that? It doesn't really know which direction it wants to take with it. Does it want to be serious? Does it want to be funny? And it just doesn't really work out that way, and it doesn't really know what exactly it wants to do. And you would think that Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts could maybe elevate this a little bit more to making it somewhat watchable, so you can actually get through the film without questioning it so much. But even in this movie, you don't buy their chemistry whatsoever. Like, why would Julia Roberts' character be so invested in this guy, with spouting out all these conspiracy theories and stalking her, and pretty much stalking her, while she's trying to get her to fall in love with her? Yeah, they don't bring you see that in the trailer, but is they trying to make you think, is that something they try to make you forget about in the actual movie? But I don't know, man. I saw this a long time ago when I was looking at some of Richard Donner's movies in the past. This is definitely one of his lesser films. It's a film that really has no idea what kind of a movie it wants to be. Like I said, it doesn't know if it wants to be a comedy. It doesn't know if it wants to take itself too seriously. It can't find the common ground here to really make it stand up as something really unique or very interesting. I really don't think this movie works as well as I thought it would. But some positives, I'll say, it does look nice. It has a nice visual look to it, and the cinematography by John Schwartzman's nicely done. Patrick Stewart, I thought, played a very good character in this film, but he was the only one I actually kind of really liked in the film, honestly. It was nice seeing him something different besides playing Jean-Luc Picard, from Star Trek The Next Generation. But other than that, though, the film really has no clear idea of what direction it wants to go to. It doesn't really have any idea on what direction they're going for here. I think it only got greenlit because it's the fact that Richard Donner and Mel Gibson are working together again, so they're going to make instant gold here, and not so much, and especially not after what happens after this with Lethal Weapon 4 in '98, but I don't know. I guess I could say it's not a terrible movie, but it's a film that's definitely a jumbled mess. Like, it can't decide what direction it wants to take. The two leads don't really work off each other very well. The only thing I really liked about it was Patrick Stewart, honestly, and the cinematography, but other than that, that's about it, man. This one is a real dud of a film. That's Conspiracy Theory. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, the comedy Def Jam's How to Be a Player. So here's another one of those comedies like Booty Call and Sprung, where they all pretty much have the same plot, honestly. I mean, this one pretty much says it straight out. Bill Bellamy plays a guy who's a player, who's a guy that sleeps around with a lot of women. You have Lark Voorhees from Saved by the Bell in here, Natalie Desselle, who we just talked about in BAPS, Maury Moreau, who would later go on to be in National Security with Martin Lawrence, and Amber Smith, who is more known for her roles in some Skinamax shows, like I can't remember what. I think one of them was called Sin City Confidential, and I know she was in Lingerie. And not that I would know that in particular, because I don't usually watch. Okay, who am I kidding? Of course I did. I was a kid when these. I was a teenager when these were on TV still. was when those shows were on TV, so of course I snuck around a little bit to see a little bit of it. And coincidentally, this was one of those movies that show up after midnight on Cinemax all the time at Showtime, and I only saw a little bit of it, and now that I've seen the full movie, I can honestly tell you that it's really not all that great. It's a film that has some good talent on board here. Bill Bellamy, you see Bernie Mac in there, Gilbert Gottfried is in here too. It's got some names in here, but at the same time, it doesn't really have a whole lot there to make it kind of stand out compared to some of the other films of that type. At least Booty Call was at least close to being the funniest out of all these three, but and even if you want to see the scenes with women in sexy lingerie and getting naked and all that, which I mean, you could just go on, like I said before, like I've always said, you could just go online and you could just find the stuff there. I mean, there's no real reason to watch this movie if you're just looking for that, because the material they have here just isn't funny or that interesting. And I've seen Bill Bellamy in some pretty good stuff too. I liked him on that show Fastlane he did a couple years after this, but other than that though, this movie is really not that great. It's not that funny. It's not that clever. You're really only going in there to see the good-looking women in their sexy lingerie and sometimes naked. But like I said, you just go online, you can just easily find those clips there. But yeah, other than that though, this is not a great film. It's a film that's really not that funny, not that clever. And at least with Sprung and Booty Call, they were at least trying to do something different. But this one's just sticking it out there for you, and it's not really doing it well here. If you want to see a better movie of this caliber, go watch Boomerang with Eddie Murphy, because that one was at least much funnier, much more clever, much more intriguing, much more interesting, and this one just certainly is not. It seems like a watered-down version of Boomerang, quite honestly. That's pretty much all I got for you on that one. That's How to Be a Player. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Free Willy 3: The Rescue. Of course, this is the third installment of the Free Willy series, and the last of the original trilogy, before they eventually went on to do the direct-to-video sequel that they did with Bindi Irwin about almost 10 years afterwards. I think over 10 years afterwards, honestly. And it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I've not been the biggest fan of the Free Willy films. Free Willy I just thought was okay for what it was. Free Willy 2 was the first movie I ever saw in theaters, and I really didn't like it. So naturally, I thought going back to this movie, which was not a big hit whatsoever, it was a huge bomb actually. It only made $3 million total. Like, for a movie that had two movies prior to this that were actually successes, to just make $3 million this time around, that's pretty depressing. So naturally, I thought maybe that this was going to be easily the worst one of the series. I mean, it looked like there wasn't going to be anything too promising with it, and I watched it again recently, and I gotta be honest with you, this one actually kind of surprised me. This is probably the best one of the films, and it's really interesting to say that because of what had come before this. I mean, you look at the trailer for this, it doesn't look like anything too engaging, too interesting, but at the same time, there is actually something worthy to it. There actually is kind of a heart to it. It actually is a smarter film than the other two films in the series. It doesn't just pander to get attention from you. There is a lot of maturity going on in this particular one. There is a lot of maturity going on here. The characters are much better written. The writing overall is just better. The storylines are much more engaging. And I won't say it's a classic movie by any means necessary, or one of the greatest sequels you'll ever see, but I gotta say, man, when I watched this again recently, I was pleasantly surprised that I did not hate this as much as I was going to, and in fact, actually came out liking it a lot more than I would have thought I did. It's probably the best one of the series, honestly. I was really, really shocked about that. I was not expecting that whatsoever. Yeah, I was kind of really surprised watching this again recently and realizing that I don't actually hate this movie. I actually think it is the strongest one of the original trilogy, and you know, it's kind of sad that I'm kind of sad now that this bombed. But then again, when you have when you have a sequel that didn't really live up to the expectations of the first film, not to mention that god-awful animated series, that's a whole nother thing on its own levels. But to end like this, man, I mean, this is a really damn good movie. I was actually really shocked at how much I enjoyed this film. I'd say definitely give it a chance. If you stopped after Free Willy 2, I don't blame you, but really go back and watch this and go in there with an open mind to it, because It's actually a lot more smarter and a lot more engaging than I think a lot of people would have given it credit for. It's actually a lot more fun than I thought it would have been. Not a classic movie, not a really great film by any means, but it's definitely the best one of the original Free Willy trilogy, and that really was one of the biggest shockers for me, how much I actually enjoyed this film. Free Willy 3: The Rescue, definitely give it a shot, because you might be pleasantly surprised by what you see. We just got a couple of indie films that I haven't really seen, so we can be quick on these ones here. So let's go ahead and move on to the next film, which is Mike Leigh's follow-up to Secrets and Lies, that is Career Girls. So you can tell you've got the story about two women who are reunited after 6 years apart. The women are Katrine Cartilage and Linda Steadman. The women who were originally thrown together when they share a flat while at university, and the film focuses on their interpersonal relationship. And you see Andy Serkis in there. This is one of his early film roles, and compared to, it doesn't look like it's a bad movie. I mean, Mike Leigh has made some. Mike Leigh's last film, Secrets and Lies, came out a year before this, and that kind of put his name on the map. But I don't really hear a lot of people talking about this one, honestly. But that doesn't mean it's a bad film per se. Maybe it could actually be kind of interesting. I'm actually kind of curious of the role that Andy Serkis plays in this film. Other than that, though, I really don't know anything else about this one. So this one could actually be kind of fun. So, it could actually be pretty good, is what I'm trying to say here. But a quick one on that one. That's Secrets and Lies. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Soul in the Hole.
Before there was an NBA, a dream team, or a Final Four, there was a game called Street Ball. Welcome to Soul in the Hole.
So as you can tell from the trailer there, this is about street ball. I almost forgot what they were saying. Street ball, of course. You follow this basketball coach named Kenny Jones, his playground dream team called Kenny's Kings, the relationship between him and his players, particularly playground phenom 18-year-old Ed Burger Smith, and life in Brooklyn during the summertime. And when I saw this for the first time, the trailer for it, my first thought was Hoop Dreams. Like, this is very similar to Hoop Dreams, and I really like Hoop Dreams. But this is a film that I've never seen before, but I definitely got that Hoop Dreams vibe from it. And like I said, I really like Hoop Dreams, so already my interest is kind of peaked just on that level. It's got some pretty decent reviews from what I'm looking at here. I mean, somebody said it's the best film made about basketball, about growing up black male and street, and that's actually done by okay, it says two different things here. I think it's The Village Voice, but it's also a top 10 gem by Premiere Magazine. I'm reading this off Wikipedia because I've never seen the film, so I don't really know if it's any good or not. But judging by the fact that the trailer gave me a lot of Hoop Dreams vibes, I'm actually really curious to see if I can find this movie somewhere and watch it. I'm pretty sure I can find it online, but yeah, my interest is definitely peaked on this one. So that is Soul in the Hole. Moving on to the last film we have here, we have Max von Sydow starring in Hamsun. So we've got a story about the later life of the Norwegian author Knut Hamsun, who's played by Max von Sydow. I think I'm pronouncing these names right, who together with his wife Marie, went from being a national hero to a traitor after supporting Nazi Germany during the occupation of Norway during World War II. And definitely some things that could be very topical for nowadays, but like I said, I've never seen this film before, but it's got Max von Sydow in it. Usually he does not star in a really terrible movie, so I don't doubt he's probably the best thing about this film. But then again, the movie itself could actually be really good too. So once again, very quick on that one. I've never seen it before. Could be good. I'm not entirely sure though. But that's Hamsun. That's going to do it for this edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll take a look at the films of August 15th with 5 films, including Copland, James Mangold's neo-noir crime drama with Sylvester Stallone, Harvey Keitel, Ray Liotta, and Robert De Niro among its cast. We also have Paul Thomas Anderson's Event Horizon with Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill, The Infamous Steal with Shaquille O'Neal, and the groundbreaking comedy hit The Full Monty. We also have Paperback Romance, and those will be the 5 films that we'll cover next time around. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and always don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. With that said, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Until then, as always, Take care.